YouTube Bazik going the Goat House is back with my XFL Week 3 picks, going through each of the games, giving you my straight up pick, and then against the spread pick. We did this last week. Really enjoyed it. Some people requested it, so here we are back again. Enjoying the XFL. Mainly, I think the main reason, a little more talent, compared to the AAF, but got to respect a lot of these players. They're turning down more money and they don't want to be that backup in the NFL. They just want to play ball. So you just got to respect that, and it kind of makes you like the game, that much more. Before we get into the picks, two channels here at the Goat House. We cover the NFL fully, and subscribe to both of our channels. Our new one there, you'll find a link in the description in the comments, and then our Twitter, Instagram will be down there as well. Click that link, give us a follow. Would really appreciate it. Daily posts there. And in the description, you'll find our Patreon link with extra content. Did this video last week. We're actually 4 for 4 on the straight up picks and 4 for 4 with the picks against the spread. So hopefully having the same success this week here in week 3. Yeah, I thought they were pretty simple for the most part last week going into it. And I thought I had a pretty good identity even though it was only week 1. But kind of learn a lot quick here in the XFL. The first game is Houston Roughnecks, who's kind of known as, more of the, one of the better teams here. And we got the Tampa Bay Vipers, who, I'd say is maybe the worst team in the league. I was surprised they were favored last week. Trestman's team still yet to score a touchdown. I'm surprised that's what I'm seeing is -5.5 for Houston. I believe that's going to go up. But I think you already know where I'm heading with this. Houston's the much better team. And, I think they're going to win by more than 5.5. I think they'll win by more than a touchdown. PJ Walker's looked fantastic, especially with using his legs, whether it's not only just running, but kind of moving outside the pocket and then making the big-time throws. And they got some studs on defense. We talked about it last week, so there's some studs on that defense. Looked like they were going to really win big last week. They kind of let St. Louis back in the game, so I guess that was a little scary. But they took care of business there. Another impressive week. Cam Phillips looked really good. The former Virginia Tech receiver, had a heck of a career at Virginia Tech. I think the only reason he get drafted was I think he ran a 4.79 when you expect him to be a little faster. So that'd be the reason he get drafted. Other than that, you can see he has talent and he plays much faster on the field. So we kind of saw that. Him and PJ Walker, a really, really good duo there. And Walker, just looking like he's going to get a shot in the NFL after this. But Tampa needs to score a dang touchdown. They're really struggling. Just not enough talent on this team on either side. Maybe you expected a little more from the quarterback position, but just been disappointing. They could be a candidate for possibly the worst team in this league, an early candidate. It's unfortunate, but going Houston with both those. Dallas Renegades at the Seattle Dragons. And you got Dallas -4.5. They got their quarterback back last week in Landry Jones after losing without him in week 1. He had his moments where it looked really bad, but then he had his moments where, I felt like he kind of won them the game there. A pretty talented team. They're good running the ball, too. So we saw, Artis Payne getting going a little more this time compared to last time. Kind of expected more of that. Now their team's a little more complete here in week 2, and they had a tough challenge there with LA, and they got the job done there. So pretty impressive. Seattle played Tampa last week, and if you remember in last week's video, I kind of said these very well could be the 2 worst teams in football. Seattle got the job done there, but for who's winning this game, I think Dallas is just a much better team here, and 4.5. I was surprised by that. I'm gonna take Dallas with the points there, 4.5. I think they can win by at least a touchdown. Seattle's game's kind of running. They're pretty good running the ball. Will they be able to keep up when their main game's running the ball though with Dallas, because Dallas can throw the ball downfield. Landry Jones knocking the rust off, then kind of looked okay. So hopefully he takes care of the ball. I just think that Dallas is a team that can compete. I think for the title, the first year XFL title here, and Seattle's a team that I think they got a win last week because they played the worst team in football here in XFL, and they could be towards the bottom too, even though they do got a decent team. They could win this game, but surprised by the 4.5. Had to go with Dallas with both those there, and we're moving on to the next game. New York Guardians versus the St. Louis Battlehawks, and that's the spread. That you kind of I expected maybe a little less on this one, but St. Louis favored by 7.5, so more than a touchdown. They had a tough one last week with Houston. They almost came back. New York had a tough one too. with a big-time win in week 1 and then going to that in week 2. If you remember the last video, I kind of said, though, New York looked good, but I kind of said they may have played the worst team in week 1 in Tampa, so maybe that's the only reason why they look good. And I kind of talked about that the lack of weapons I kind of expected, and that's kind of what happened week 2. Matt McGloin voiced that opinion, going into halftime too. So, for straight up, I just got to go with what I think is just the better team here in St. Louis. So I really like what I see from Ta'amu. He's had some mistakes. There was a bad interception, which I think he thought it was a free play in last week's game, which to me it should have been. But that ball's got to come, get a lot higher, and he has the arm strength to do it. So little things like that. But he's been impressive, especially running the ball. He's been impressive. St. Louis got a pretty solid team. Seen them come back and almost beat Houston, who's kind of known as one of the better teams, first or second probably. Spread against the spread here is tough because 7.5. I mean, they got to win by more than a touchdown. That's a lot, but I'm still gonna do it. I think they're the much better team, and I'm gonna go for that. I think around, it's gonna be close there. Around 8, maybe 8 to 10 points. They win by their home. That definitely helps a little bit. It seems like the crowds have actually helped, the teams. It seems like, there's a pretty big fan base out there, which a little surprised, so, and it's mainly everyone rooting for the home team there. You don't get a lot of traveling fans, obviously, which was expected. So I definitely think that helps to maybe cover that spread. But that's definitely a tough one because 7.5 is a lot, but New York looked pretty bad last week. And then we're going on to our final game, which is DC, who you could argue is one of the better teams. With Cardale Jones, they're going to air the ball out. They're going to run some trick plays. They're going to use that double pass. They're pretty impressive defense as well. It's a high-powered team. They're going to score. And then LA, the Wildcats, they get Josh Johnson back last week, who you could argue, prediction-wise, could have been the best player in this league, the best quarterback in the league. We've seen him have some success in the NFL and have the good experience. Wish he would have played a little better in his first game. Obviously, maybe we expected better. But yeah, really the first game coming off the injury, I expect more. I expect more this game, from Josh Johnson. And I mean, he could compete. Like he can play right with Cardale Jones, with these other guys. You almost expect him better. So, I mean, this should be a good game, especially in LA. This DC team looks pretty damn dominant right now, so it's really hard to pick against them right now. So I'm gonna go with DC, but the spread pick, I'm gonna go with LA. I don't think they lose by a touchdown. I think they keep it within that 3 to 6 range. Worst case they lose by a touchdown, then you push, but. I think Josh Johnson plays a good game in this one. I think that's the bounce back. LA's offense versus DC's defense. That's kind of the battle I'm looking for. I'm not, the main reason I'm picking DC to win, it's hard to go against them now. They're a high-powered offense, a high-powered team. But LA's defense, you can really throw on them. So DC's going to run up the score, but I do think LA can keep up. That's the only worry. Could it get out of hand just because of the bad matchup? DC's passing game versus LA's pass defense. That's really the only thing that worries me there. But I got a good feeling about Josh Johnson's his second game here in week 3 against the DC defense. That's the battle I'm looking for. That's what's going to decide here when picking against the spread. In LA, that kind of helps. But yeah, really impressed with some of these players, some of these teams. And then we can kind of get a better identity on who maybe the better team. If DC just once again just dominates their opponent, they could be at the top here. Somewhat of an easy task for a team like Houston in week 3 playing Tampa. Can Tampa get a touchdown on offense? Can they do it? It's pretty bad they haven't. So pretty disappointing there with that team. But yeah, really enjoying the XFL so far. Let me know your guys' thoughts, who you're picking straight up and against the spread. Would really appreciate to see you guys in the comments here. It's going to do it for this one, though. Plenty of NFL content here, daily content, all kinds of action going on here at free agency, the NFL Combine, NFL Draft. We got you covered, so please subscribe to both of our channels. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. You'll find a link in the description and the comments. Really appreciate it if you guys check it out. Really appreciate you for being here watching this video. It's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.